Hello and welcome back to my VBA and Excel training channel. Today I've got another cool trick for you. It's going to be easy and it's going to save you a lot of time, and it's just with the click of a button. So I'm going to show you how to take all this data, find a unique identifier, and count the number of times that it occurs, just like that. So let's get started. So first of all, we have some source data over here on this tab. Our unique identifier in this case, and this is fictitious data, is going to be the account. So how many times does this account occur throughout the entire data? And you'll notice this is an important step. Whatever unique identifier you have, you're going to want to sort the data by that column. So this just happens to be column A in this particular example. So we're going to keep counting the number of times that the unique identifiers, or accounts in this case, occur. And that's going to give us the result that we're looking for. So let's hop over to VBA and see how to do this. I've gone ahead and inserted a macro and a module in this case, and you can name it whatever you want. I've called mine sum like rows, or in other words, similar rows. And to kick things off, I have a clear numbers macro that's being referenced, which is down here, and very simply just clearing some contents within a specified range on sheet 1, which is here. And that's just eliminating any kind of prior results that may have been kept from a previous run. We're going to blank that out and start off with a clean slate. Next, you'll find a couple of variables. Down is equal to 1, x is equal to 1, and then we're going to roll into essentially two do loops. First do loop right here is going to look at a range and an offset coordinates. Remember, down is equal to 1, so 1 comma 0, in other words, row 1, column 0, and we're going to run that until we run into a blank cell. Range list, for your reference, is on our source data. That is found in cell A1. You can see right there. And switching back to VBA, we've set up another variable. Our data is equal to 0. So in this case, our data is essentially going to be our running total, if you will. It's a variable that's going to reset at the beginning of whenever this loop begins, and it's going to reset to 0, and then as the macro proceeds, that number will increase based on the criteria that we'll set. So within this do loop, we've set we're increasing the variables by 1. Both down and our data are increasing by 1 each time it passes through here. So for this first do loop, for the second do loop, we're going to loop until this range list, which is our source data, and down minus 1, in other words, so this is going to be equal to 1 at first pass, comma 0 dot value. So that value, in other words, the value here, ABCD, is not equal to the same source data list and down comma 0. So the only difference here is we're really looking at down minus 1 and down. So that, into simplistic terms, allows us to look at this cell and reference back to this cell, and as it moves down, this cell and reference back to this cell, and as it keeps moving down, it's comparing cell over cell to understand when that value changes. So obviously we got a change here between row 10 and 11, change between 22 and 23, and so on. I think you get the point. So once that's able to change, then it's going to look at, or, well, at the same time, it's going to look at or is that cell blank, and that just tells it to stop. So once we have this loop end at when they are not equal, cell over cell, it's going to keep looping until those are not equal. So as that keeps looping, both down and our data are increasing by 1 in value. Hence our count of the number of rows where that unique identifier is found. So here's where we're going to capture our results. So we have range results and a dot offset x comma 0 dot value is equal to, before I get to that, results is on sheet 1. Like I said, this is kind of our summary page. A1 equal to our results named range. So that's where it's looking at. It's going to input a value that is equal to this particular reference. So if you recall, list is back on our source data. It's going to look at the row -1 and it's going to capture that value. So in other words, as it moves on down the source data, it's going to stop here, says, oh, these do not match each other, and it's going to look at that down -1 means it's going to jump back 1 cell and grab that name right there. So at that point, we've identified an account. Now we just need to identify the number of times that it appeared as part of our do loop, and that's what this is going to accomplish. So on the results tab, we will identify our data by looking at x comma 1, and that is simply going to be just the next column over. You'll notice that x is the same here between the top and bottom code, but the column does change. So it's just sliding over 1 column, and it's going to input the value of our data, which was found as part of this do loop. So very easy. We're going to close it off by just a simple optional select sheet 1, and all that does is make sure that the end of the macro, and this is for a more positive user experience, ends on this sheet, so the results are then displayed immediately to the user. User experience is always very important to make your macros efficient and user friendly, and something that folks will want to use. So that's all there is to it, really. I mean, it's very simple. Like I said, where this is going to come in handy is if your data increases by a significant amount. Only have a few rows out here. We can double this up just for fun. Can add on to it exponentially, and it will give us very quick results, as we've already seen. So if you recall, I mentioned we do need to sort by the account as our part of our unique identifier. There we go. So I sorted by account. We're now all the way down to row 326. We could keep going, but for the sake of time, you get the point. Click on find totals. We have the same number of accounts that we displayed before, but obviously our sum, or the count of those unique identifiers, has increased quite a bit based on increasing our source data. So very easy, and it's a simple VBA code to incorporate. Once you can write that up, tack it on to a button, and once you add that button, you can just right click, assign macro, and select sum like rows in our case, and there you go. So every time I click on it, it's refreshing, and it's so quick you can't even see it. You do a manual deleting of the results, click on it, and done. Well, that's all I wanted to show you for today. So if you liked this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. And also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more useful VBA videos. And feel free to comment down below. I certainly want it to be interactive and engage the YouTube community. So if you have any VBA questions or comments, throw them in the comments down below and I'll try and respond as soon as I can. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.